Okay, we're going to go ahead and hear from our winning car owner, and that is Coach Joe Gibbs. Coach, not only did you win the race, but all four of your cars were inside the top five here tonight at Kentucky Speedway. And that's I know you've been in athletics all your life. That's pretty good. But talk about certainly Kyle getting that second win tonight. And the rest of your team certainly performed well, and maybe your take on just how this new package performed out there tonight.
Well, I think first of all I want to say that as everybody here knows, our big Camry center here is in Kentucky, Georgetown, and so a lot of our Toyota people here really appreciate them. They deserve a lot of this credit. Certainly, so it's a thrill for us to come to this part of the country. I thought the fans and everybody here are so nice, and they're so passionate about their racing, so I really appreciate that. For us tonight, it's a first for us to get four in the top five like that. As everybody here knows, as you guys following the sport, for about a year and a half, we had a tough time on mile and a half intermediate tracks. And so I think a lot of credit, and Adam will probably, second this, goes to all the guys back home, the aero department, the engineering group, the fab shop, all those guys working so hard. And we have been hard-paced trying to catch up. And I think we worked extremely hard, and hopefully tonight's a sign that we've caught back up with everybody at intermediate tracks. A thrill for us. I think it's a great story for Kyle, obviously, to come back in 4 months and win a road race, and then to come back and win here. I think that's just it's a great sports story. It says a lot about his determination, his passion, the way he came back from that injury. I'm not sure many people could have done that, and it says a lot about his mental toughness too. I think he is mentally tough and physically tough, and so I think that showed up tonight. So big night for us. M&M's just really called all the family from the winner's circle and said to them, just thanks for letting them for them letting us do this. As everybody knows, they've been in the sport now 26 years. They love the sport, a big part of it, and we're thrilled to be on their team. And like I said, Lord bless us with a great night.
Thank you, Coach. And Adam Stevens, congratulations on this win here tonight. Your second win this season. And just talk about, you didn't get any practice in on Wednesday. And you didn't get any practice in on Thursday. And got some practice in yesterday. But just talk about how this team responded, rose up to the challenge, and won this race here tonight.
Yeah, it was just an exceptional weekend for us. We unloaded with a lot of unknowns, like everybody else did, but we did a lot of homework. There's a lot of smart people at Joe Gibbs Racing that dedicate their lives to making these cars go fast, and they certainly did it this weekend and with this new package, and that was a pleasure to see, as Joe touched on. But, the limited practice time didn't really bother me much, just because I knew we were all in the same boat. And I knew that our ace in the hole was Kyle Busch. I figured if I could just get him out there on the track at all, we'd have a shot to win it. But, we did make use of the little bit of time we had, and we're able to get the car good. It wasn't great, but it was good. And, thanks to his good information, we made some good changes for the race, and definitely had a top two car, and had a good race there with the two until they had a couple issues. But, it was I think the team that made the least amount of mistakes, on top of having just a competitive car, was going to win this race, and that's what happened tonight.
We'll take questions now for either Coach Gibbs or Adam Stevens. We'll start right here with Jim Utter on the second row.
Jim Utter, Charlotte Observer for Joe. You said after Kyle won his first race that the journey to top 30 in points was not going to be an easy task. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of people after he's won his second race who are going to make it seem like it's like he does a lot in his career, is make it seem like it might be easier than it is. Do you still see it as being a difficult road ahead for him to make the change?
Well, I do, because in our sport, as I said, we've already seen some crazy things happen. You can break apart. That's part of our sport. You can have a freak shower on the fourth turn at Michigan and cost you a whole race. Think about all the things that can happen in a race like tonight, how many times you just miss hitting somebody or just miss a wreck. And so I pointed to the fact that last year, we know how hard Kyle races, and he was a little bit over 17th average. And so I do think it's extremely hard, and but we just got to be prepared every week, go after as hard as we can. I think Kyle takes the approach. He's not going to back off. He's very aggressive, and he's going to go for it. And that's what he did tonight. He wasn't looking for second, and so it's a big deal for us to have a driver like that. Adam making all the calls. Our guys on pit road. It really is a total team effort, and it also includes everybody back at the race shop. So a big deal for us. I do think it's very hard. I think it'll still be a hard, tough road for us. I think we're 90-something. I don't know what it is. That's a lot of points.
You're 87 points out of 30.
87. Oh, that's better. Yeah. It's looking better. I'll tell Kyle we only need 3 more of these. We'll be okay.
Let's go to the front row here to Joey, and then we'll go to Stan, and we'll see where we'll go from there.
Joey Chapman, Popular Speed. Adam, one of the main ideas with this package was kind of to put the racing more back into the hands of the drivers and the crew chiefs with strategy calls. Tonight, was there any more pressure on you as a crew chief? Did it affect the way that you had to call strategy throughout the race?
It did, and it certainly was going to get big there at the end if we had a caution. I think I was praying harder for no caution than about anybody on this earth those last 30 or 40 laps, because it puts you in a bad spot, But the cool thing about this package is the cars don't punch as big a hole in the air, so you're able to you don't lose the nose as bad when you're racing guys. You saw a lot of guys race side by side and swap positions and maybe not get clear and drift up behind them, and they didn't fall 6 or 8 or 10 car lengths back. They were still there within racing distance. And I think that's the advantage this package has right now. Now, whether that advantage is still there, we get 3 or 4 or 5 races deep with it, and everybody figures it out a little bit more, I don't know. But, the surface lends itself to that, too. The groove opened up really wide, which was fun. Gave the drivers a lot of options. And, from the word go, everybody was slipping a little bit. It makes you work hard, and I think that favors the guys that can truly drive race cars, and Kyle Busch is one of those guys.
Stan, and Stan, and then to Matt. Go ahead.
Stan Creekmore with RPMTonight.com. Coach, you're not the mechanic, you're not the engineer, you're the car owner. How quickly did your organization convince you that the changes NASCAR was putting up could lead to victory lane, could lead to very positive running for your teams?
Yeah, I think for me, basically in the background, you're right. I think Adam's glad I'm not a mechanic. So, but, although I think I could really do this, but I'm going to prefer to leave it with them. But I think what our drivers and everybody really kind of consistently across the sport has been saying, this is the package. They wanted less downforce. And the thing I thought tonight was really great is we saw the 2 car go all the way to the back, come back to the front. The 11 car went all the way to the back, came all the way to the front. I think that we saw a lot of passing. I thought the racing was, I felt like it was really improved. Adam's right. It'll be interesting to see when everybody kind of starts really working on this. But I do think we're headed in a good direction. And so I think it is very positive for this package, and I think that'll be what the fans say. That's going to be interesting. But we get the radio calls and everything that's going to happen. But I'd be willing to say you guys will probably hear from a lot of fans, and I'll be surprised if it's not positive.
Other questions? Matt's got one right here.
Matt Weaver, AutoWeek.com. One question for Coach and one for Adam. First, Adam, a lot of drivers are talking about how they want to take away the driver adjustable track bar, and that's really, along with the soft tires, the next step NASCAR needs to look at. Do you want that responsibility back in your hands as the crew chief to be able to do that instead of the drivers?
From my personal perspective, it doesn't make any difference. I do think it could potentially make the racing a little bit better. You're making people stick another wrench in the glass to make that adjustment, and you do that and you make mistakes sometimes. And that shakes up the running order. And, if you're out there on the track and the balance is getting away from you, you don't have very many tools at your disposal. So taking away a tool from the driver will inherently make it more competitive. You just can't dial yourself in if the balance is getting away from you.
And for Coach, it seems like we're moving closer and closer towards having track-specific rules for each track. We're trying out Kentucky and Darlington. We're going to take a different package to Indianapolis and Michigan. And so there's some concern that might add an extra cost to the ownership side. I know that NASCAR consulted with all of you guys before going this direction, but is that something that you're comfortable with as an owner?
Yeah, I think from the owner standpoint, for us, what's best for us is the fans to be excited about our racing. And we need them in the stands, and we need them on TV watching and listening on radio. So for us, and this package, I don't think it's not a big expense. This package isn't. It's fairly simple for us. And so, but I think the overall concern for all of us is to do what's right, for our fans. Now, I think we're going to try another package, and I applaud NASCAR. There's going to be 2 packages we're going to try, and we'll kind of see what happens. But I think it was bold on their part, and I think tonight panned out for us to have a good race, and it worked out great for us. And I think in the future, I think you're going to really see, I think NASCAR's after it. I think they really want to help the racing. And so it's a big deal for us, and I think I applaud what they're doing. I thought tonight was good.
Any additional questions? Final question, Stan?
Stan, I appreciate every time I talk to Stan, I see his face, I think of JD. And so I called JD right after the race, and everybody back home, I think Adam will say that JD and the whole group that doesn't come to the racetrack, it's a huge deal for them. Sometimes I feel bad because they're on TV, they're watching TV and everything, but they don't get to celebrate. So we try and do that on Wednesdays, and we have a special lunch and stuff, a winter's lunch, but it's hard for them, and I really appreciate all of them back home.
Thank you, Coach. Adam, how positive would you be if NASCAR said, okay, we're going to put this into effect at Charlotte, at Kansas, at the other 1.5 miles in the chase?
How excited would I be?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, based on one data point, I'd be really excited. But, it's just so hard to tell. There's a lot of nuances about Kentucky that lend it to great racing. So I don't know that I can put it all on the package. I can certainly tell you that the package was a benefit. It was racier. But Kentucky's a pretty racy track, and the groove opened up so wide today. And the tire combination had a little bit of fall off. You had some mixed strategies. So I think it's a combination. But, they're pushing all the right buttons, I think. But, hell, I'd still be excited.
Let's finish up. We got a question in the press box. Go ahead.
Chris Knight, CatchFence.com. Coach, for you, it was a big night for Joe Gibbs Racing as a whole, but for Carl Edwards, it was just his 3rd top 10 finish in 18 races. How big of a deal was this for the 19 team tonight?
I think it was a big deal. I talked to Carl today on the phone for quite a while, right before I flew over, and we were and to be quite truthful, he was worried. He said, I just didn't feel good with the package. I thought some of our other cars were better than me, and we had a long discussion on it, and it was really eating at him, and I haven't really been worried about it because I kept waiting to say, we're going to break out of this. We got a great pit crew put together. We know what he can do as a driver. He got Darian. We couldn't have a better group put together. But to be truthful, the performance had been off some, and I could tell reading into him, he's going, gosh dang it, what's going on? And so I think it's just like any great competitor, and I know Darian feels the same way. So I got to tell you, I had a big applaud when I saw that 19 come roaring up through there. It was really a big deal.
Coach Gibbs, Adam Stevens, congratulations on a big night tonight for Joe Gibbs Racing, and continued best of luck the rest of the season.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Kerry.
Thank you.